Facebook Live. Just a trigger warning this morning, please, because I am talking about uninvolved parenting. This is also known as neglectful parenting. So, for some people, if you've been raised in that type of household, this could be a trigger for you. So, please be mindful and, think, do I need to really see this? We should always do that, be very discerning about what we're taking in visually and, auditory. So, be mindful of your own self and take care of you. So with that, we'll get on with the blog. But if you want to stop now, that's do please do that and look after yourself. Um, so uninvolved parenting and the consequences. I'm going to talk about the consequences to the child and the consequences then long term to an adult if you have been raised in that type of household. Basically, this is one that we think of. Um, I suppose the classic sometimes people think of is, an alcoholic parent, kids allowed them on the road, they don't, nobody knows what's happening with them, and then they get in trouble with the law. That's not actually, always what happens. This can go across, and it has to be emphasized, this can go across all socioeconomic divides. So it doesn't matter how much you're earning, how well you're educated, this could happen in your household. And with that in mind, we have to understand that isn't just a stereotype, and I think it has become stereotyped, but it does run across the board. So, children are neglected for a variety of reasons. Sometimes, the parent isn't at fault. Um, and I'll talk about that in a second. Um, so how, it varies considerably as well to the degree of which the uninvolved parenting takes place. So there is a huge degree, and it's never a one size fits all category here with this. So even when I'm talking about the effects on the adults and the children, um you don't have to have all the symptoms that I'm going to talk about. You don't have to, you could have one or two of them, or you could, you might have, rarely would you have come out of it unscathed, I'd say. Rarely. Sometimes, in fact most of the time, adults that have been raised in an uninvolved parenting situation, they have other symptoms and they go for treatment for those symptoms. um, and then it becomes apparent during the course of treatment with a therapist that they were raised in an uninvolved parenting situation. So, as I said, it can vary. The degrees can vary as to how uninvolved a parent can get. Now, I am not trying to get at any parent. There are different parenting styles, and I've talked about these before. So, you know, if you're worried about it and you think, oh, I might be doing that to my child, if you're worried about it, you're probably not doing this to your child. So please take that on board. You're probably not doing, you're probably very conscientious, and you are looking after your child to the best of your ability. And at the end of the day, a parent can only do the best that they can at that moment in time. Let's get on with this. So, uninvolved parenting, what it might look like. So, they don't ask the child about school or the homework. The child teaches themselves, they learn, do their own homework. Whether the child does the homework or not, that's up to the child. They rarely know who the child is with. So the child comes in, there'll be food, there'll be shelter provided, but little else. So who the child plays or is with, the parent probably wouldn't even know who they're with. Um, they don't spend time with the child other than to provide a dinner or food, some sort of food. Um, you know, they don't spend time with the child. They're not interested in spending time with the child. Few rules in the house. So the house rules, I talk about the house rules and how, it's important to get older children and teens involved in creating those, but there aren't any in this case. There are no rules. The kids are making up their own rules. There's no guidance, in other words, there's no nurturing, or parental support really is what the problem is. Um, Basically what you're talking about is the child is raising themselves, and possibly if they're older, siblings as well. So they're raising the younger siblings. Um, these type of parents tend to lack knowledge about parenting skills and child development, what a child needs. They could suffer from low self esteem or a mental health issue or substance abuse issue, or they could be overwhelmed by problems that is going on right now in their lives. Other problems, maybe they're dealing with a partner. The other parent could have substance abuse issues, and they're so caught up in what's going on with that that the kids come second to this issue. So the effects, the effects on a child may look like the child can have low self esteem, emotional and behavioral issues, poor performance in school. Now, it, it can go the other way. The child could really excel in school for the simple reason that they want their parents' attention, or that's the only place they're feeling safe. So they're getting the attention from the teachers. So they're really trying to excel. So it's not just down to poor performance, but they will have high levels of stress in their lives, anxiety, very fearful kids, trust issues, boundary issues. They're going to have those. They're at higher risk of developing mental health and substance abuse issues as well. So you put up right up there in the category for being an increased risk for developing addictions and eating disorders and mental health issues. The effect on an adult then. So if you have been raised in or by an uninvolved parent, that then goes on. It doesn't go away. You are then more likely to develop, your own substance abuse issues, eating disorders, PTSD. I would have said the kids have PTSD as well. You have more likely then to develop mental health problems such as anxiety, depression, um, and then you know you'll have trust issues, boundary issues, poor self-esteem, um, intimacy problems, so problems with developing a relationship with somebody else. And then you also have the case of this huge shame and guilt involved there as well. It's trauma. You've suffered trauma. So, it'll be toxic shame and toxic guilt in there. That has to be dealt with. It's not going away. None of that's going away until you deal with it. And those factors that I've just talked about are really the ones that drive people to go and get help. And then it's discovered, as I said, that they were raised in an uninvolved parenting situation. Why does it happen? Well, I think what I've just said when I was talking about the parents at the beginning of this, you can kind of guess why it might happen. The parents themselves may have been raised in a similar environment. So this is the way they know how to parent. They could be very busy or stressed, overwhelmed by their own issues or issues from the other parent. So that, as I said, an addiction in the family, if one parent is constantly having to firefight, um, you know, the issues relating to the other parent, then it can cause them to be uninvolved with their kids, uninvolved parenting with their kids. Um, but that may not be the case. I mean, it's not. I don't want to just label parents who have addictions. That's not the case. It's just for instance, okay. Um, an awful lot of parents who are in a situation where one parent is an addict, they really try to overcompensate. So they're very very involved with their kids, and they really try and get things, make sure their kids are well looked after, while still firefighting the situation with the other parents' addictions. Um, but I do want to also say that no reason, if you're an adult and you're raised in this situation of an uninvolved parent, no reason is really good enough. But in saying that too, both parties need therapy. So the parents need support just as much as the child does. If you are uh, an adult who was raised in this environment, you more than likely have trauma that needs to be dealt with and you need to get help. the parents in this situation for therapy, for treatment, need as much support here as the children do. So for a child, they're going to need a child psychologist, a specialist child psychologist or psychiatrist. There's possibly going to be a team involved, the GP or main doctor is going to be involved, the child's doctor is going to be involved, social worker probably. It depends on the situation. There could be other, if the child has other issues or the parent has other issues, then there could be other people involved. So the child will have their own therapist, the parents will have their own therapist, um, the family therapist, then there'll be a family therapist. Parenting skills will be offered as well. Um, Now, if you are an adult and you've already gone through all that and you need treatment, it's going to depend on what your own issues are. So if you had a substance abuse issue or an eating disorder, then that would need to be treated as well as the trauma that caused you to have this, okay, the underlying reason, the root cause. So possibly tied up in your own this being raised by an uninvolved parent. So it's tailor made. It's always tailor made to the person, and what they need. So you could have multiple treatments. So if you had an addiction, um, you or a mental health issue, maybe you're seeing a psychiatrist as well as a psychologist for the therapy. You could have addictions. You could be attending 12-step, brilliant 12-step programs out there. Absolutely great support groups. You could be attending that as well as seeing a therapist for individual therapy. You could be attending group therapy, maybe, or maybe you're doing family therapy with your other siblings. Um, so it's tailor made, is what I'm trying to say, to your particular situation, your needs, and what is best going to suit you. But definitely, you will need to see, at the minimum, a psychologist and come in and talk about the trauma that's affected you. So that's it. It is one that's, of all the parenting styles, I think, um, it's the one that really, I would put out that trigger warning about. There is one other one, but that one in particular, you need to mind yourself. So if this, and you've decided to watch this, and you feel, yeah, I'm okay, I can watch it, but then afterwards you may feel stuff coming up for you. Sometimes we can feel strong enough to watch something, maybe it's a film, maybe it's TV, and it reminds us, it triggers us. So maybe it's not now, but maybe today or tomorrow, and you're feeling off. You have to be aware that you have been triggered. So you have to do an extra little bit of TLC and do whatever you've been told to do in therapy in that case, to deal with any flashbacks or to do with any trauma that's bubbling up for you. So I leave it there. Thank you very much, for watching. And as always, I will talk to you all next week. Yes, good morning. Um, Good morning, Deirdre. What was I saying? Okay, she's. Hopefully this has, yeah, Deirdre saying that that stuff is problems there at the internet. Hopefully it's not on my end. I'll check it now, but hopefully it wasn't on my end. And So I'll have a look at it. Sorry, I'm having a read there of the comments. Sorry. Yeah. So I'll just check it afterwards, and I will talk to you all again next Saturday morning.